you wanting to emulate Jess and follow your footballing dreams, we've got an opportunity for you. The FA are delivering a series of talent identification competitions for Asian boys and girls. Here to explain more about the Talent ID initiatives is FA representative and UEFA B coach Manisha Tailor.
Yes, the FA have launched a Bringing Communities Together plan, which actually feeds directly into the inclusion and anti-discrimination plan. It has some key strategic priorities which will be achieved over a 4-year period. One of them is to do with participation. The second is talent development. We have role models, and the fourth being developing talent officers. Participation really is their target of giving opportunities to 50,000 young Asian boys and girls to participate in football through community development centres. These CDCs, so they call these CDCs, will be developed regionally. I've developed one myself in northwest London at a Hindu faith school. So the Swami Narayan school now sees 35 young boys and girls participating in regular football. The talent ID development is really feeding into the first strategic priority. So it's, can we now identify talented players through the CDCs and then potentially signpost them into PDCs, which are player development centres, and these would be in pro clubs. The second thing adding on to that is that the FA now also with Nurturing Talent is they're following a similar programme to the Chelsea's Asian Soccer Star, and now developing their own Talent ID days. They have one coming up in Birmingham at the end of August, so August 31st, and they have a second one in Luton in October. And the process in terms of these Talent ID days is for young boys and girls to attend, and they will go through a series of testing. These would be quite technical, so we're looking at things like, ball manipulation, dribbling, their ability to pass, their awareness on and off the pitch. It would also be quite tactical in terms of when they're playing. So, we'd be looking at things like when they are a player, if they're on the ball, how do they react? If they're off the ball, where do they need to be? Communication and engaging with other players too. There will be scouts, I believe, on the days. So, again, there's a chance for certain talented players to not only, receive a reward in the end of being signposted to a PDC, but also if they unfortunately are deemed to perhaps not be ready at that time, then there will be scouts who might think, this child deserves a try.
Jasminder, remember who you are.
I think the reason that we have an underrepresentation of Asians in football is a generational thing. This then stems back to the fact that if we look at my parents and grandparents, the way in which that they've been brought up is very academic. And a lot of things, especially within the caste system, which still does exist amongst some Asian communities, is still about status. And with the status also comes, some form of superiority. With certain jobs also, obviously there'll be a hierarchy in terms of pay. Now, football was very much, what we look at, being a sports person, I feel was still very much frowned upon amongst, especially if you're trying to pursue it as a career, amongst the generation of my mum and my grandparents. And it would have been seen as a hobby. So it's, yes, by all means, engage in sport, but it certainly wouldn't be deemed as something that you would do full time. We have got kids like, so Yan Danda, he's actually, Yan Danda, 17, 18 now, plays for Liverpool. He has been tipped as somebody who will get into the first team at Liverpool. He's been playing up a year, I believe, for the England squad. There's also Suleiman, who's recently, he's been playing for the youth England team as well. So there are a number. But these are kids who, young people, whose parents actually are from my generation, who are educated and understand how the football system works. And it's a system where you have to be in it early. Now, I understand, that players will develop at a different rate. So not all of us will develop in the way that we're supposed to. There are many pro players who kind of found themselves a lot later on. However, they were already used to the pro system. We cannot have somebody who's been playing grassroots football at the age of 18 and say, I want to play in the Premier League. It's just not going to happen. And then we look statistically, less than 1% will make it as a pro. It's whether you're Asian or not. So it's very low. And this generational thing, I do believe there's a shift now. But we are going to see a change, but it's now going to be in 5 to 10 years' time, because it's now going to be with my generation, the next generation, who then have kids who actually value sport a lot more. So, when we have musicals like, Bend It Like Beckham, I think that, the Jess Factor and characters like that are very pertinent to the issue. And what I love about what they do is they actually, it's a serious issue, yet they have a very humorous way of portraying it, which is actually captivating and engaging audience, which is what we want.
Liz Nichols, CEO of UK Sport, recently conveyed her concerns about the underrepresentation of women coaches in all sport. Tell us a little bit about your particular journey.
The statistic is still pretty much there. Generally, particularly we're looking at the breakdown within the Asian community. The FA said that there are more men participating in football on and off the pitch than there are women. So part of their inclusion plan is to try and increase the number of female coaches, particularly those who are Asian, and help them through that process through bursary schemes. So there has been like a BAME bursary, which actually wasn't just for Asian people, it was for those who are Black, Asian and ethnic minority. There are also some female development programs that the FA have in place, so there's a mentoring scheme. I believe that last year there was a UEFA B, which was a female-only course, and the females on that course also got some mentoring with it. But yes, like the CEO said, that there is this massive underrepresentation, particularly at the high level. We are seeing an increase in numbers now, because I think a lot of it is a generational thing. So there are many more girls and women getting into coaching, but I think that things such as there are certain barriers that still impact them not wanting to pursue coaching, and I believe that the reason being is that there's no stability in terms of hours. The hours are very ad hoc. Football particularly, if I go from my experience, you're working pretty much 7 days a week, you're working in the evenings. Women who then perhaps have families and things, and then we're thinking about those who are Asian also. If you're married and then you've got kids, I think that there's certain implications it can have on how you're perceived, and there's a certain level of expectation, particularly if you're still living with your husband in their home, especially from your mother-in-law and things like that. So yes, there is an underrepresentation, but it's increasing. However, if there are still those, although it's increasing, there are still there are still factors that are affecting women from taking on coaching roles where it's serious and not just for fun. Like I said, particularly when it comes to hours, finances, it doesn't bring you in a full-time wage. Coaching is something that's part-time, so you have to do it. So I coach, but I cannot live off coaching, because you may get 1 or 2 hours of coaching a day, if not a week. So I'm head coach at Middlesex Centre of Excellence. That's only an hour and a half a week. So I would have to make up my full-time wage, I suppose, as such, in other areas in football. I passed my UEFA B last week. I now need to consolidate. So I need to now work with a team where that's going to allow me to do that. Again, when we're working with teams, even at that level, it's 2 evenings a week, and then you have a game on the weekend. That's only 3 days of 2 hours work. It's not enough. The next step would be to get the A license. Again, if we're looking at that, there's very low numbers of female coaches at UEFA B, even lower at A license and even pro license. So we really are looking now at role models, which will encourage more women to think, do you know what, I can give this a go, which then comes actually to sacrifice, because like I said, it's not a full-time job. And if you want to make a career in coaching and you want it to be a full-time job, you need to be at a pro club. So like Emma Hayes, who's at Chelsea, you're looking at, we're looking at the female game, the teams within the Super League. The Women's Super League are the clubs that you then want to aspire to work at, for it then to become full-time.
Just to remind anyone interested in taking part or watching the Asian Talent ID Days, please use the contact details on your screen now. That's one at Birmingham City and Luton Town. Also, don't forget you can watch the exclusive interview with Bend It Like Beckham actress Natalie Dew. The complete interview with Natalie, who plays Jess in Bend It Like Beckham the musical, can be found at Touchline TV's homepage. Again, details on your screen now. We'll leave you with a sample of our chat with charismatic and hugely talented Natalie Dew. Thanks for watching. See you soon. And I was going to come on to that actually because obviously it's daunting with the singing and the line learning, but how was the learning the football skills? Are you new to football?
Yeah, completely brand new. So I did training about 3 months before, just so that I didn't look completely awful with a ball next to me. And so yeah, that sort of helped to make me more comfortable with it. And then as we sort of realised what we needed to do for the show, it's just about just drilling the tricks. And yeah, hopefully I'm pulling it off. But yeah, it's getting stronger and stronger, I think, each time.
No more football! Come on! All right! Here we go!
Oh, Bob, these are the best wedding lights in the whole of London.
You've ruined your sister's life!